Welcome to Pop History. This episode looks at the story behind some of the popular events from March 1981. Here we go. On March 4th, Joey Coyle was arrested at JFK International Airport shortly before he was about to board a flight to Mexico. He was carrying over $100,000 in cash hidden in envelopes that were taped around his ankles. Less than a month before, Coyle, an unemployed longshoreman from Philadelphia, had found $1.2 million after it had fallen out of a Purolator armored truck. Though he gave out some of the money to his friends and neighbors, he kept most of the money for himself. The money was eventually recovered, and at trial less than a year later, Coyle was found not guilty of the charges against him. His story eventually made into a movie, Money for Nothing, starring John Cusack. Also on March 4th, CBS Sports outbid NBC for the rights to broadcast the NCAA men's basketball tournament for the next 3 years, paying almost $50 million for the rights. NBC had broadcast the playoffs since 1969, increasing the popularity of the contest. On March 5th, British rock band Genesis released the single For Man on a Corner. The song, written and sung by drummer Phil Collins, is, like the title suggests, about a homeless man who spends his days on a street corner yelling at people. According to Collins, he wrote the song to bring attention to the homeless epidemic, a theme he revisited again in his 1989 hit, Another Day in Paradise. Man on a Corner quickly became a hit, eventually reaching the number 40 spot on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. On March 6th, after 19 years on the air, Walter Cronkite, 65, signed off for the last time as the anchorman of CBS Evening News, repeating his signature line, "And that's the way it is," for the last time. During his time at CBS, Cronkite had become relied on to deliver the news as the most trusted man in America. His career with CBS spanned nearly 2 decades, including reporting on events such as the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, the war in Vietnam, the 1969 moon landing, and the 1972 Watergate scandal. It is believed that his remark that the Vietnam War was unwinnable directly led to President Lyndon Johnson's decision not to run for re-election. It was Cronkite who America trusted for the most breaking news on the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and John Lennon. Cronkite's replacement, Dan Rather, took over the anchor job on March 9th. Rather would hold the job longer than Cronkite, anchoring the evening news until 2005. On March 18th, the single Betty Davis Eyes was released by American singer Kim Carnes. The original recording of the song by Jackie DeShannon in 1974 was for her album New Arrangement. Carnes' rendition, however, became a huge hit, spending a total of 9 weeks in the number 1 spot on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart. The song later won the award for Song of the Year and Record of the Year at the Grammys. Betty Davis, who was 73 at the time, sent Carnes roses and congratulations, as well as a letter, with Davis thanking Carnes for bringing her name back into mainstream culture. Also on March 18th, the American comedy drama series The Greatest American Hero debuted on ABC as a 2-hour pilot. Star William Catt plays Ralph Hinckley, a teacher with superpowers that he doesn't understand how to control. The show ran for a total of 45 episodes over 3 seasons. The show's theme song, Believe It or Not by Joey Scarberry, became a hit single, rising to number 2 on the Billboard Top 40. 2 weeks after the first episode, another Hinckley, John Hinckley, shot U.S. President Ronald Reagan, so the show's main character's name was changed to Hanley, but he was often referred to simply as Mr. H. On March 19th, Arkansas Governor Frank White signed a law requiring the teaching of creationism in the classroom. Arkansas became the first state to officially add creation science to its public school curriculum to be taught alongside evolution-based science. In a suit filed by various parents and religious groups later that year, Mclean versus Arkansas, the courts ruled that the teaching of creationism violated the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. On March 27th, Ozzy Osbourne signed his first solo career record deal. During the meeting with CBS Record executives, his wife Sharon suggested he would make an impression on the executives if he released 2 doves in the office. Instead, Osbourne, who appeared to be drunk, grabbed one of the doves and bit its head off. Despite this controversy, biting heads off of small animals has been repeated several times throughout Osbourne's career and has become part of what made him famous. As mentioned earlier, on March 30th, the nation was stunned as U.S. President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded by John Hinckley. The assassin, standing among a group of reporters, waited for Reagan, who was finishing a speech at the Washington Hilton Hotel. Hinckley fired 6 shots, one striking Reagan in the chest. Secret Service agents did not realize that the president had been shot until after his limousine sped away from the scene. The wounded Reagan, his lung pierced by the bullet that had narrowly missed his heart, was rushed to George Washington University Hospital. Impressively, he walked in under his own power. In his usual style, he joked with his wife Nancy, saying, "Honey, I forgot to duck." To the doctors, he said, "I hope you are all Republicans." Reagan resumed his duties the next day from his hospital bed and returned to the White House on April 11th. Reagan's popularity soared after the event, helping to pass his controversial economic program with bipartisan support. Though Reagan claimed to be fully recovered from the assassination attempt, he continued to feel the effects of the near-fatal gunshot. On March 31st, Chicago's Mayor Jane Byrne and her husband moved into the Cabrini Green public housing project on the near north side of Chicago. The mayor lived in apartment number 402 to bring attention to the housing project's problems, especially its high crime and murder rate. When she moved out 3 weeks later, protesters claimed that the move had only been a publicity stunt. Previously, the apartments were made famous as a supposed setting for the 1970s television sitcom Good Times. That wraps up our look at pop history from March 1981. Keep an eye out for our next episodes coming soon. For now, as always, thank you for watching and joining us in this stroll through our memories from 1981.